Sup gamers, and welcome to the Gamer Zone. We are here with the first update of 2024 for Darkest Dungeon 2. This is a free update currently on the experimental branch for anyone to play. New Infernal Flames, including the new Infernal Flame that everyone's going to play, and everyone will demand that I play. New lair boss trophies, one new lair boss trophy for each lair boss, plus a couple of important changes. And complete hero rebalance for Grave Robber and Highwayman. So let's go ahead and get through the patch notes. There's a lot to cover. This is a pretty big update, pretty big free update early in the year. So kudos to Red Hook, even though they did drop it on a Friday night while I was, working service industry Omegalol. So 4 new trophies. Decimal system is the librarian. If a hero goes first in a round, the hero gets 5% damage buff for the rest of the battle. If they go last, they gain a stress. Pretty interesting. 5% isn't that great. This really only matters in like lair boss fights, maybe like Act 3, which can go on pretty long, or the Act 5, definitely Act 5 lair boss fight. And then gaining stress if you're slow kind of sucks. And also it's kind of hard to guarantee you go fast. You gotta like really prepare if you're gonna use this decimal system. Like I said, not as good as the other ones, but obviously with 3 lair boss trophies for each region, you're not always gonna get the one you want. Safety of Slumber is for the Dreaming General. This gives you 30% resist to Bleed, Blight, Burn across the board and -2 speed. So -2 speed, I think, is a little too punishing, although it does work well with some of the Dreaming General's trinkets. Maybe you can get different tanks to use Readout or Claw. Overall, not that thrilled with Safety of Slumber. The resists are pretty important, especially if you're doing like Act 4. You can get that bleed resist pumped up. But overall, not the greatest. The Undertow. Heroes get 100% move resist piercing, which is actually very interesting if you're running a certain type of movement comp. You also restore 20% HP when you resist a move, which is pretty cool. Like I said, enemy movement is kind of niche, in my opinion. So this trophy itself is kind of niche. Doesn't really make me want to go to see the Leviathan. I still think Leviathan has the weakest trophies of anyone. And the Rancid Feast is for the baby. When a hero is attacked, just any attack, if the hero is attacked, the enemy receives 1 blight. When a hero gets hit, that hero receives a blight. So this is for building like a dodge tank build. You get a real dodgy, get a duelist tank or a Grave Robber tank, and you can dodge all the blight yourself, or you can, and while the enemy is getting blighted every time they attack. This could actually be really interesting with like a flag. Get some sepsis gaming going. A lot of interesting things, probably. This is, in my opinion, the most interesting of the trophies. New Infernal Torches. We're not going to go through these ones. It's cool that they're adding them, but this is the one everyone wants to see. The Bastard's Beacon. Oh, goddamn. Freaking cold. Every enemy is ordained, including lair bosses. There's an Act boss buff, and it's more likely that you run into mini bosses. So this is the real mode. Stygian is a joke now. Stygian's garbage. No one cares about Stygian. This is the only way to play Darkest Dungeon 2. A lot of pain and misery. A lot of pain and misery. All right, so big rebalance for Grave Robber and Highwayman. So we're going to try and get through all this nonsense, all these numbers. They raised the threshold. This is for Wanderer. Raised the threshold for Absinthe. That's amazing. Absinthe was kind of hard to use. Flashing Daggers gets a Giga buff. Crit rate absolutely through the roof. Damage is pretty good. I mean, 5 damage AoE when it's upgraded. 20% chance of crit. 5 average damage, so that's like a 9 AoE. Like this is actually a real move now. It's still, ranks 2 and 3. Like, how much do you care about ranks 2 and 3? But I'm probably putting this on most bars now. I mean, I don't know if we're going to run Wanderer, but like this is a respectable move now. They ignore dodge if Grave Robber has stealth, which obviously Grave Robber has a lot of ways of getting stealth. They buffed Glint in the dark, which is kind of crazy because I thought Glint was already pretty strong. Lunge, slight adjustments. A little bit stronger. Lunge now does a knockback on crit, and it's got a fairly high crit rate, if I recall. Like I said, I don't remember running Wanderer that much. Pick to the face, crit buff, which is big. Pick to the face now removes block on a successful crit. This is actually useful against certain enemies, notably Act 4 boss. Pirouette, no dodge. This is actually a pirouette nerf. Pretty big pirouette nerf. Pirouette now applies weak to the Grave Robber, along with daze without giving dodge. But you can avoid these debuffs if you have stealth. So again, this is telling you, get yourself some stealth if you're going to run Grave Robber. If you don't have stealth, you're garbage, basically. Slight buff to pirouette damage. Very slight. Very nice buff. Repartee now applies a buff that gives you a chance to add a dodge token whenever an attack misses the Grave Robber. This is like super hard to use. It's like, oh yeah, you can get this and you get a chance of this and then you do this. If the Grave Robber is stealth. Yeah, not that interested in this. Shadow Fade Plus now gives a strength token. This is pretty interesting. Now this actually makes Shadow Fade a little bit better. It'd be nice if it was a crit token, but I guess she already has ways of getting crit. And also minor buff to Thrown Dagger. Deadeye, like I said, Deadeye is completely changing now. Melees aren't negatively affected. No move res affected. Absinthe is a reduction in dodge tokens. But this gives you a total combat crit buff. So you can see here 4%, base 6%. Now this is for the rest of the combat. So again, something that's big. If you're, say, running, say, Act 5, or doing a really long Act 3, you could probably draw out, like, the first phase if you wanted to. Getting up to an 18% total buff if you use Absinthe 3 times. Now, obviously, you don't really want to use Absinthe. At least I don't want to use Absinthe if I don't need to heal, because I like having that option. But if you're running, like, some sort of crit build, this works. Flashing Daggers changes to a back row attack. So ranks 3 and 4. This is good because there's not a lot of direct damage to the back row. Again, this isn't huge damage. Flashing Daggers is 3 to 5 or 4 to 7. Although, like I said, Deadeye Path, 15% to 30% on Flashing Daggers plus 30% crit rate with a 7% max damage roll on back row AoE. That's respectable. Again, Flashing Daggers is a must-equip Wanderer and Deadeye. Thrown Dagger can't be used from rank 2. So this is much more rank 3, rank 4 build. Doesn't ignore guard. Slight damage increase. Slight crit rate decrease. Thrown Dagger gives you a speed buff on crit, which is actually pretty interesting. Especially since Grave Robber is pretty close to that 8-speed threshold. So you can say, get yourself a snappy swig, and you can just farm speed, which sounds kind of interesting, I guess. Maybe. And Nightsworn, they completely changed Nightsworn. It's not a lunge pirouette bot anymore. They got rid of the health nonsense, so that's good, because that was pretty scary. Again, Flashing Daggers buff. Flashing Daggers on this build is ranks 2, 3, and 4. It's not a lot of damage, like I said. 4 to 6 on upgrade. Ranks 2, 3, and 4. Plus it has a cooldown now. And you can only be used while in stealth. So, you know, you Shadow Fade and then Flashing Daggers. Yeah, I think this is definitely the worst Flashing Daggers of the group so far. Especially with the cooldown. Kind of weird that it has a cooldown when, like, you have to have the stealth anyways. Like, it's a little bit weird. And this removes stealth. So it's like, this is just not good. Just not good. Flashing Daggers only has a chance to remove stealth, but still. Like, normally you'd use her with, like, a stealth trinket, but this removes all the stealth anyways. It's, Giga nerf to lunge. Giga nerf. Moderate nerf to lunge. No longer ignores block. Has execution. You get 50% damage while in stealth, which is still not that great. Repartee grants taunt to an ally on Nightsworn. And it also grants... So Repartee Plus, again, like I said, you need stealth on this path to make Flashing Daggers, which still kind of sucks. This is a way to get stealth. Easier way to get stealth. For 3 turns. Pretty good. And you gain taunt. So, like, your lunge is pretty decent. The main problem is pirouette isn't good anymore. So, like, repartee, lunge, pirouette's not a thing anymore. It's more like open repartee, lunge, and either hope you're locked in or hope someone else moves forward. And Thrown Dagger doesn't ignore guard, but it will ignore taunt if the Grave Robber has stealth, which is kind of funny, but it's not like a huge thing because I guess it can go through. Well, no, because like when do you want to ignore taunt? Like Act 3 Cultist, maybe? It's not great. Nightsworn seems interesting, but I'm not sure if it's as good as these other paths. And now Venom Drop. Alright, so no more ranged damage nerf and no more stupid speed nerf. Just those 2 things make Venom Drop good already. No Blight dealt with no passive Blight dealt with stealth. Absinthe is no longer a dodge. It's now a blight remover or dot removal on upgrade. Healing threshold is up to 50%, so it's like OP. Like, that's so easy to use. And you also get a blight resist. So very, very good for Act 5. Also for fighting in the Fetter. Obviously the problem with going to the Fetter or going to Act 5 with Grave Robber is you're not going to have the blight application you need. So that's kind of a problem. Flashing Daggers is eh. It deals extra blight when in stealth. So this replaces the blanket, you know, everything gets extra blight. This gives you extra blight on your Grave Robber. On Flashing Daggers. Doesn't really do damage, but it doesn't need to. The crit's up a little bit, so that's helpful. The blight is downgraded, actually, which kind of sucks. Like, I thought 4 was fine. Like, Flashing Daggers, it's not like it's super OP or anything. I don't think this nerf is necessary. Flashing Dagger Plus gives you +3 on stealth, so that's a 6x3 on 2 different slots. So pretty good if you have stealth. Poison Dart doesn't benefit from combo, which is dumb. Blight slightly increased on baby Poison Darts. This also gets the Blight on stealth bonus. Shadow Fade, it used to be movement skills gave you extra Blight Piercing. Now Shadow Fade gives you that for 2 turns instead of the 1 turn. Thrown Dagger, don't ignore guard. Thrown Dagger damage is slightly up. And now Thrown Dagger is a weak on blighted targets. Maybe useful, maybe not. Maybe useful, maybe not. They changed Foreclosure Notice. They got rid of the combo stuff and the other stuff, and you get damage while in stealth. And Shadow Fade removes all negative tokens. Pretty good trinket. His rings is pretty cool. Buffs your pick to the face. This is really interesting. Dead of Night gets 2 relics and a bauble. So you can just freaking farm. I mean, it's not like you can farm a lot on Dead of Night. Although, maybe if you're running the Corpse Light trophy, just farm some relics and baubles. When hit, +1 stress. Oh, and also, like didn't go over this. Apply combo to attackers when they miss. So there's another Grave Robber tank build. Stiff Drink applies Blight on crit. +1 Blight and stealth. And absence skills apply Blight 1. So, probably a nerf. Like his ring, I used Foreclosure Notice sometimes, but his rings were the only ones I really used often. All right, now on to Highwayman, who got a lot of changes. Double Cross Plus applies combo. That's pretty based. Make Double Cross more valuable. Especially with, like, you could Giga combo this with, say, Leper. Get, combo plus Vuln for Daddy Chop. Double tap plus crit increase. That's good. The double tap was garbage. Grape Shot Blast. Damage increase. 3 to 5 is a little more respectable. Launch ranks changed to you can do it from anywhere. That's good. Highway Robbery has a crit chance now. All skills like this, debuff and buff skills, non-damaging skills now have a crit chance. -5 crit chance, debuff to the target. It's kind of weird. So you can self-buff. This is a little weird. Because, like, Highwayman was already known as, like, get free crit tokens. And now you can just do this stuff to get extra crit chance. Anyway, so now you can do this. Since they apply a debuff, you can use the attack. Even if they don't have a positive token. So that sometimes matters. Probably not, though. Pistol shot slide upgrade. Point blank nerf. Take aim no longer grants dodge. Long take aim cooldown. The cooldown is now 3 turns, 2 turns on upgrade. Although the base take aim now gives you 2 crit tokens. So the only thing you get on the upgrade is you get a lower cooldown. And Wicked Slice gives more execution. So they're just grinding take aim into the ground. Was it needed? Maybe. Probably. Although now that you don't get the speed, it is a little... I don't know how great it is. They completely changed Rogue. It's no longer rank dependent. Duelist Advance gives block. It's now a forward 2. So it can help you get up if you moved back. You can just do fancy dancing or whatever. Plus gives 2 block. Grape Shot can only be used from rank 1 now. and it's now a 1-2-3 attack. Like, that's how it was in DD1, right? Grape Shot now is kind of like point blank on Rogue. So it moves you back 1. Damage is 3 to 5. It's kind of meh. Point blank doesn't apply combo, doesn't grant riposte. Point blank has more knockback. Take aim cannot be used from rank 4. And take aim is completely different on this path. Doesn't do the crit or dodge stuff. This is now a riposte move. And it increases your riposte damage for 4 turns. And take aim plus gives you a riposte on round start. So this is the riposte build. So that's actually sort of interesting. Riposte damage plus is pretty cool. So you open take aim and then you can duelist advance. And you're just going to get a lot of riposte. You'll want something for like forced taunt. So maybe like pair this with repartee on Grave Robber. Kind of interesting. Wicked Slice is only front row on Rogue. And they apply combo, which is kind of cool. It actually is pretty cool. You can do fat damage and apply a combo. More combo is always good. There's a lot of stuff you can do on a combo. Especially if you're running some like Reynald Dismas stuff. You know, Wicked Slice into Stunning Blow or into Reap if you're doing, you know, reaping stuff. A lot of fun stuff. Sharp Shot has been humiliated. Sharp Shot has been absolutely humiliated. No longer get a speed buff. This is the pain and misery. No longer are you base speed 8. So you want to use Snappy Swig? You better get yourself some speed, buddy. So they completely reworked Double Tap. Double Tap does like half the damage now. More crit. Launch ranks have changed to be more, you know, open. And you can also hit rank 1 with Double Tap now. And Double Tap now has a cooldown. And it moves the Highwayman back. So what Double Tap does now, you use Double Tap. And then if the opponent is still alive, you get to use Second Shot, which is basically just another Double Tap. So you're literally double tapping. Literally double tapping. So there's a lot of interesting things you can do with this. This is useful because it has execution when it's upgraded, like normal double tap. So you can double tap to Death's Door and then get a second shot in. Second shot applies combo, which is kind of cool. If you have like double crit tokens or double strength tokens or whatever, this makes some of the double strength token stuffs like Physician worthwhile. You can get 2 attacks, although like I said, strength tokens when your damage is 2 to 4, 3 to 5. I think this is interesting, although overall it's a nerf in my opinion. Grape Shot Blast is only from the back row now. And this is now changed on Sharp Shot to another back row. So now you're just nuking the back row. And they increased Grape Shot damage. You don't get the strength token anymore, as you can see here. But they just increased the base damage. 3 to 6 is respectable. And upgrades to 5 to 7 for a rank 3 and 4 attack. Like I said, more rank 3 and 4 destruction. This is huge. Especially getting direct damage here. This is also quite interesting to think about. I actually preferred this in Act 2 the other way around, but now you can attack the back one in Act 2. They're just interesting stuff. Especially with the new, what is it, Deadeye Grave Robber. Kind of interesting to hit ranks 3 and 4 here. Also increased crit rate. 15% crit's pretty poggy-woggy. Pistol shot, slight buff. Pretty decent buff, actually. Point blank shot doesn't apply combo. Point blank shots now back 2. That's actually pretty cool for like emergency purposes. And it gives you block. So you could probably put it on for emergencies. Alright, so Yellow Hand is now bleed oriented. Is it bleed? Probably not. But it's bleed oriented. Again, no more HP nonsense. No more debuffing bleed res. No more negative impact on ranged. Like I said, they're getting rid of this nonsense in the path system. Double cross removes block before applying the vuln. Now ignores block. Crit is up. Grape shot applies a bleed resist debuff, which is actually kind of pog. So now you can just AoE bleed nonsense. Again, there's not enough bleed for any of this garbage to matter, is my problem with this. However, robbery is now 1, 2, 3 instead of 2, 3, 4. No longer steals an extra positive token, but it now gives a debuff. A debuff. A debuff res debuff is what it does, which is useful sometimes. Probably not. However, robbery has crit chance now, obviously. However, robbery plus gives debuff resist, which is cool, I guess, even though it's only 10. Wicked Slice only used from 1, 2, but now you can target 1, 2, 3. Targeting rank 3 is actually pretty respectable on Yellow Hand with Wicked Slice. Gives you that flexibility that like Man-at-Arms does with Crush. Hitting rank 3 is actually pretty important. No more execution, unfortunately, and kind of nerfed. Ignores block if the target is bleeding, and ignores guard. So it's kind of not. I mean, Yellow Hand sucked, and it still sucked. Bleed still sucks in this game. Bleed is garbage. Like 50% bleed res debuff on Grape Shot Blast, maybe, probably not. Cursed Coin is stealing regen. That's kind of what. You still get the crit nerf, which is kind of garbage. Rat Skull Giga nerf. Minus 10 stun res debuff. Like, this is garbage. Rat Skull is garbage. Tormenting Locket. 10% crit while in rank 1 or 4. Kind of cool. Open Vein still does stuff. Stress chance on ranged skill hits. Reduced to 15%. So, meh. Again, non-damaging skills now crit without a crit token. Or can. And this can also trigger stress healing, which is kind of pog. Which it like makes things like Bellow better now. Or other AoEs. These things now have crit chance on Haze is kind of Monka Omega. And on Smokestack. And on Breath of the Sea. Malediction no longer deals damage, which is fine. Because they improved the crit rate. So this has a much higher chance of critting now, which means, you know, you get a higher chance of applying the debuff and a longer debuff. So I haven't ran a malediction in a while. Still probably decent in certain acts. Magrain Giga nerf. Slight buffs to the eaters who didn't have crit rate, apparently. Howl can no longer crit via crit token use. Is kind of cringe. I think Howl should do damage too. And always crit. And do extra stress. Right? Ghoul needs to be buffed. Buff Ghoul. Focus Fire no longer does damage, but it also has a higher crit rate. Which is meh, whatever. Backsplash now has a crit rate. Behold! This is no longer guaranteed to copy positive tokens. That's kind of cool. Makes it more possible to use tanks along with direct damage. So they don't steal my damn tokens all the time. Gash no longer moves them forward. Sure, whatever. Sure. Blah, 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 blah. Warlord has increased. I haven't seen Warlord in so long, by the way. Give me Warlord, idiots. All right, so they nerfed the 2 best trophies in the game. GIGANERFED. General's Dream Immobilized now goes away after 5 rounds. Most fights this doesn't matter, right? But some fights it matters. This is no longer a free Harvest Child win, although, I mean, you never take more than 5 rounds to do Harvest Child, right? Replaced max HP with healing received. So this is huge. Healing received is pretty cool. But you already got you basically got healing received with max HP, right? So no more Giga HP builds. This does make certain heroes better that actually, you know, have HP. And this makes Rabbit better, to be honest. Which Rabbit doesn't need to be better, but it is now. Blah, 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 blah. Nonsense, nonsense, nonsense. Fixes, blah, 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 blah. They're going to have Infernal Flame icons, like unique ones. So that is a plan. Also, once you install this build, you can't go back. But why would you ever want to go back? Because this is kind of pog. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be a little awkward as they work through all the hero rebalances. Because they giga nerfed the Highwayman. Whereas, you know, we still have Alchemist. We still have Vanguard. We still have, you know, all the other pads. Sharp Shot is now dead and buried. It's not dead, but we'll see. We'll see what goes on. We're going to be running a lot of Grave Robber Highwayman builds. Like I said, if you guys saw my post, a lot of things have happening. Also sick, if you guys couldn't tell. You guys can tell. But I have this video out now, and we will be doing some Bastard Beacon runs and dying a lot. So good luck with that, guys. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for consuming this video, even though it's late. Let me know in the comments like what you think of the update, if you guys have played it yet. All I know is this is amazing, and this is kind of cool. This is a lot to take in, so we'll take it in at a later date. Thank you all for watching, and good night.